From Mississippi, Mr. Kelly is recognized for 5 minutes.
You know, I'm starstruck with this panel. Thank you guys for being here. Mr. Chairman, thank you for bringing such a distinguished panel. And it's great to hear from, first of all, you're all excited about what you do. And I think enthusiasm is one of those things that any business or whatever you're doing, that you have to have enthusiasm. And to see people like you, you're all role models for people out there. So thank you for being here and for what you've done for small businesses in our industry. Ms. Solovic, and I hope I pronounced that right, in the South, we don't do over one syllable usually. But first of all, I want to thank you for your mother. And again, it goes back to family and your father's service this great nation. That's very important to me. And I think that our veteran, which we haven't talked about a lot, but I like to give these guys and girls opportunities to proceed forward because they paid their debt to this nation. And anytime we can forward their agenda and help them to be successful a life after the military, that's great. But can you elaborate a little bit on the Department of Labor's overtime rule and how that's impacted your business and other businesses, please?
Certainly. I get a lot of concern from small businesses, especially with the increase to the threshold of $50,000. It will cost jobs in many, many small businesses. And just also, not even just the level of increase, which is huge, but the fact that the complexity of the guidelines is very, very difficult for small businesses to follow and to know who's exempt and who's non-exempt and how it applies. And when I mentioned my father's ambulance service, how do you say, oh, well, today it was an ambulance, tomorrow it was a hearse, and who worked when? And just the complexity of it was overwhelming to him. And my other concern is, and I hear this from many small businesses, in smaller parts of the country, particularly the Midwest and the area of the country I grew up in, $50,000 in Manhattan is nothing. $50,000 in Fredericktown, Missouri is a heck of a lot of money. I just sold my family's home. My father's now in assisted living. It was a big house, 5,000 square feet, 4 bedrooms, three full baths, 2 half baths, a finished basement, and an extra lot for $116,000. So it is a different world. We can't make arbitrary decisions like that. We need to give small business owners the flexibilities to manage their business in the way they deem appropriate. We are not slave drivers and greedmongers like we saw in the industrial era. We do want to care for our employees. We want to care for our families. We want to give back to our communities. And the statistics on how much more a small business gives back to their community as opposed to a large chain company is significant. So we're trying to be good. We're trying to do the right things. We just need government out of our business.
You know, if I could just add one thing to that, I cannot stress enough the problem with complexity, right? People are happy to follow the rules, but sometimes it is hard to know what the rules are. Then you spend money on lawyers, money on accountants, and time that you could be spend marketing or talking to your customers to just figure out if, in fact, you're following the rules correctly.
Thank
And
you.
if you make a mistake, it's costly.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you. The gentleman.
I yield back, Mr.
Expired.
Chairman.